All right, today I have with me Marcus Ohanesian. He is the head of Perfect Evolution. Thanks for coming on the show today, Marcus.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Well, the way I always like to start these is by kind of getting the background on how you got into the agency space, what made you start it, and kind of what's that journey been like so far.
Yeah. So I actually started in senior year of high school as a freelance graphic designer. So doing logo design, website design. I'm a drummer. I play in bands, so I was in the music world, and that's kind of how I got started. Was doing the stickers and merch design and website design for my band, and then offering that to friends' bands, and then eventually, oh, my friend's band's mother owns a business. Okay, they need a website. All right, $50 for a website, right? You just kind of start being scrappy and getting some extra beer money basically in college. And yeah, I was going to school in Lowell, Massachusetts for graphic design. And in between classes and on nights and weekends, I would do freelance projects to make some extra cash. That kind of just helped me build my portfolio, build my clientele, really understand like the freelance world and what it means to like project manage a project,
Mhm.
and deal with client communication and all that sort of fun stuff that comes along with it. And yeah, I did that for a while. Fast forward to now, where we are a small team of four, including myself, focusing just on Shopify. So definitely not how I envisioned our agency, um, going from graphic logo design to WordPress, and then now into the Shopify space. So definitely has been a long journey, but very gratifying and fulfilling one as well.
That's awesome. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what maybe led to each of those? I mean, I'm assuming it didn't go straight. Well, I think you said, um, you know, graphic design, then into WordPress, then into
Mm,
Shopify. So,
yeah.
what were the turning points? Like, what kind of precipitated each of those shifts?
Well, I'll bring it back even further to the days of Angel Fire and GeoCities and Dreamweaver
Oh,
days.
wow.
Back in like probably early 2000s. So I was hand coding HTML websites either in Notepad or Dreamweaver, and just doing HTML or PHP websites, dealing with all that headache. Then your CMS started coming out, or air quotes of CMS, whatever you want to call that version of Angel Fire and GeoCities and stuff before Squarespace and Wix and all that stuff came. Um, and that's where I would kind of just figure out how to do HTML on the fly for my band's website and things like that. And then eventually I got into the WordPress space, so kind of graduated from those Angel Fire, GeoCities, Tripod, all those types of website builders to WordPress, and stayed in the WordPress space for a while. I actually just kind of exited it, and sold my WordPress business, like the side of Perfect Evolution that had WordPress clients. I sold that to my friend's WordPress agency. So obviously those clients can be treated with a WordPress expert like him. And I was in the WordPress space for a while, doing marketing brochure sites, a couple SaaS sites, a lot of nonprofits, things like that. Um, and over time, your interests and your passion kind of goes in a different direction, which was in the e-commerce space. In this past 6 or 7 years now, I've been in this world, dealing in the Shopify ecosystem. And that kind of led me into having this a perfect evolution. Besides working at another e-commerce agency that kind of got me into the Shopify game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that probably dovetails pretty nicely with my next question, which is kind of just around like, what do you feel like your agency's sweet spot is? It sounds like it's starting to gel more nowadays, um, and it's taking a little while to get there.
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's definitely taken a long time to filter and dwindle and really hone in on who our ICP is. And right now, there's a couple different ways we define what that is. Platform. So we only work with Shopify clients now. The size of the client is anywhere from $0 online revenue, a startup basically, to about 2 to 5 million online. So still in the SMB space. We're working directly with CEOs, or the head of marketing that's maybe focusing on PPC acquisition stuff, and we're handling a lot of the e-commerce strategy on the Shopify store. But we're basically trying to bolt on to existing marketing teams or existing e-commerce D2C teams. And we intentionally are staying small because that's sort of our wheelhouse. As a small agency, we work best with those types of small to medium-sized clients. Um, but as far as the categories, it's Shopify's D2C, so your typical like food and beverage, apparel, CPG brands basically that are on Shopify. And usually they come to us for three different categories: development, so theme customizations, third-party integrations, things like that,
Hmm.
custom landing pages, UI UX design, which is sort of my specialty as well, and then CRO, conversion rate optimization. So basically ways to increase their revenue from their website, get more sales essentially at the end of the day. Um, and yeah, a lot of merchants come to us because they have had bad experiences on Fiverr or Upwork or something like that, and they need a reliable and sustainable team. Um, so a lot of them have been working with agencies for the first time, like us. And that's sort of our sweet spot is they want to grow and they're in a hyper growth phase, but they need that additional support and foundation in place. So we kind
Hmm.
of come in and help them with the development, the design, the CRO side of things. And then we either have agency partners that we can refer business out to, or collaborate with other agencies that do, PPC, digital marketing type of stuff, or email marketing through Klaviyo, for example. Or if they're looking to do a rebrand or something, then I would send a referral over to some branding logo agencies as well.
Cool. Do you do you feel like there's any sort of specific trigger that kind of causes clients to realize, oh, you know what, I need to reach out and find somebody like you guys?
Yeah, a lot of the times it's reactive, unfortunately. A
Mm.
lot of the time it's, hey, we need something fixed on our website, or we're kind of spinning our wheels on XYZ project and we need an expert or someone to come in and help us with it. Um, a lot of the times they're missing a lot of key components in that equation to kind of grow and scale at a healthy rate. And
Hmm.
that's sort of where what we've seen, because we work with a lot of those clients, we kind of know what those triggers are when we don't see them on a website to kind of call them out. Um, and Shopify is a beast of its own. So it could be development issues with their theme. It could be operational issues with their, ERP or OMS or all the things that connect into the back end as far as shipping and fulfillment and stuff.
Hmm.
Or it could just be, hey, our conversion rate is very low. What can we do to improve that? Because again, everyone's scrappy. Everyone's just like getting a theme up and running, getting it and exhausting all their efforts with little to no money. And now they're sort of coming to us and saying, all right, we've tried it. We're kind of hitting some roadblocks here. We need help with XYZ project, and we've came to you guys as the experts.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So essentially, they'll come to you for any one of those sorts of things. Do you think? I mean, one of the things that we had discussed previously is that partnerships have played a pretty good role in your growth thus far.
Yeah.
Um, can you talk a little bit about that? I'm guessing that that probably dovetails nicely with some of the sort of offerings that you've mentioned. The kind of the pain points that people are feeling that bring them to you in the first place.
Yeah, totally. So before I had my agency here full time, I was a partnerships manager at a larger e-commerce agency. So a lot of my years spent at that agency was in the partnership program and the Shopify ecosystem, working with Shopify directly, but also with all the third-party integration tools that take place: recharge for subscriptions, rebuy for upsell, cross-sell, all the tools that integrate with it. And I really saw the value and experienced the value of what partnerships can bring to an agency. So taking that on a smaller scale and applying it to my own agency. So one of my kind of key selling points when I talk to a lead potential client is we have a really robust partnership system here in a department where we kind of give you white glove treatment. So if you take some of our recommendations with partners and hop on demos and sign up with one of our partners, you get potentially discounted pricing and access to beta products and better white glove support treatment, basically escalated support tickets. There's a handful of other cool perks basically that will come because you're associated with us as an agency.
Yeah.
And obviously just building the brands together. So we do a lot of co-marketing initiatives with these partners. So hopping on their podcast, doing co-webinars with each other, sponsoring happy hours, before or after a conference in the area, little things like that to kind of just build and nurture the relationships and the
Yeah.
partnerships, and then eventually working together on merchants too. And that's something that I've really taken away from the agency I used to work at, and really apply it to our own agency, and help our clients in more than just the little bubble that we can operate in of the development, CRO, and design. but we can also help with some of the operational stuff, and we can also help with XYZ tools that they kind of need help with. So I always like to kind of get a full understanding of their business and their goals and what they're looking to do, because it's not just, hey, let's update this thing on the website. All right, transactional task, move on to the next one. It's no, we want to be an extension of your marketing team. We really want to form a partnership with our clients as well to be a long-term sustainable partner, but also we have a whole ecosystem of third-party tools that could complement your business as well.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to dig in there a little bit deeper. I know that, I've talked with a number of agencies who seem to have partnerships figured out, but on the other hand, I see quite a few that they're just like, they don't even know where to start. I know just in my experience, what happens a lot of times is you have somebody who's like, oh, this is an adjacent vendor to us. We both serve the same market. Let's hop on a call. Let's, make some sort of mutual agreement that we'll send each other leads and maybe even have some sort of signed thing. But then both people are waiting for the other person to provide the first lead to each other, and then nothing ever happens, and it just kind of peters out. So I'd love to kind of hear, like, maybe if you've had that same experience, and then maybe how you kind of help, what you look for, I guess, and what drives a more successful partnership.
Yeah. So yeah, every partnership starts at ground zero, right? You start at zero, and you basically, like you said, you kind of wait for someone to make the right move of like, oh, they have a lead for us. Most of the time, my experience being on the agency side, we're registering a lead with that tech partner, that third party tool. And sometimes it takes years to even get a referral from them. And again, this is situational. It's dependent on who the third party tool is. But I'd say generally speaking, all I look for in a partnership is work, to put in the work basically, and really at the end of the day to really show that you care about a two-way partnership. So instead of take, it's give, take, right? It sounds basic and obvious, like when you say it outside, like right now, but you'd be surprised at how many partnerships, they're just asking for things and they're not really understanding who we are as an agency and how they can help us. Because if they help us, we're going to help you, and it's that karma, that karma back and forth that will happen eventually. And I've talked to other agencies and a lot of tech SaaS tools out there that work with agencies. I do some consulting on the side for partnership stuff in the e-commerce space. And a lot of them, like you said, a lot of them have it wrong. They're thinking about the strategy, in a non-productive, partnership way. So they're really losing sight of what the definition of a partnership is at the end of the day, So I think it's really understanding each other and understanding each other's goals, and then figuring out how you can help support each other with that. And I'm being vague and general intentionally here because everyone's metrics and goals are different, whether you're an agency or a SaaS tool. But at the end of the day, you're trying to help the merchant, right? As an agency or a tech partner, you're trying to help a merchant at some point. So sometimes there's tech partners where they're saying, hey, our customer support team is getting a lot of requests for freelancers or agencies that can help them implement our tool. Well, that's a perfect flag or trigger basically to look into your agency directory and start to funnel some of those referrals over, and that will go a long way. Because the next time I'm thinking of a tool that does ABC that they do, I'm going to immediately refer a lead over to them because of that. There's the thought there, and it's not to say that they have to make the first move, but it's really keeping each other in mind. So I've built a little system in Airtable of different agencies that we partner with that offer complementary services and like big brother, big sister type of services. But also on the tech side of things, when someone's saying, hey, what do you guys use for product reviews on Shopify? Well, I can pull that up, I can filter it, I can see what the price points are and where their specialty is, and then I can refer a couple of them to the merchant and see what's a good fit. We hop on demos and I kind of walk them through the process a little bit and making sure that they're getting the right tool and the right fit for what they need.
Yeah. So it sounds like maybe just a very practical thing that a lot of agency founders could do is just kind of start a database or Rolodex of potential software and agency partners, and then, kind of be proactive about, okay, really understanding what they do and like maybe what their price points are, like you mentioned, that sort of thing, so that you have a pretty good idea of like who to recommend just based off of that. You don't have to like rely on your memory to go off of.
Yeah, there's thousands and thousands of tech tools out there in the Shopify space. So If anyone listening to this wants to brainstorm with me or spitball, I'm more than happy to share my screen on a call and show you my Airtable database. It's not proprietary knowledge or anything like that. It's just a way that I'm organizing all of the information. But it's really helped me to build and grow this partnership program here at my agency, which results in eventually some revenue share commissions that come back, which is nice. Because you're doing the job anyway. Like you should be recommending tools and helping the merchant at the end of the day anyway. So why not get a little kickback that they're offering to do anyway?
Yeah, that's true. And if you have that database, then it's not like you're just recommending one vendor for, all things related to that. It's like, no, we want to find the person that's appropriate for your particular need. It
Right.
might be one vendor one time and another vendor that does similar things another time.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about is kind of with the services that you provide, have you tried structuring those like into any sort of, packaged offerings, or is everything still kind of, a la carte? How do you think about all that?
Yeah, definitely. We have, and we do currently. We have flexible Shopify monthly retainers. So a lot of our clients are on retainers. We do full builds as well for rethemes and stuff like that. And this stuff is just on our website. It's pretty straightforward. It's a prepaid chunk of hours. We talk a lot about what type of budget they're looking for. So is it a 10-hour a month budget, which is obviously super small? You can't really get a lot of stuff done. But we start some clients out there just to kind of build trust and rapport and build a relationship. And then in 2 or 3 months, we end up, upselling them basically into a higher retainer because there's a need. We've brought value to the table and we've uncovered a lot of opportunities that they didn't know that they needed. A lot of our clients are in the 30 to 40 hour a month. That's sort of our sweet spot. And they prepay that at the beginning of the month, and they can use it towards any of those 3 services and solutions that I mentioned: the CRO development and UI UX design, and just sort of e-commerce strategy consulting type of stuff as well. And we have a dedicated project manager that keeps an eye on the budget, gives budget updates and all that sort of fun stuff. And yeah, we just work towards. So we kind of work in 30-day increments, so 30-day budgets to stay within that. We have like starter packages too. If there's a startup that's looking just to get on Shopify and they have no idea how to do it, we'll have like a little starter package just to kind of, no bells, no whistles, just kind of get you up and running, a little bit more affordable and stuff like that. But yeah, other than that, the full builds are a little bit more ad hoc because, they're their own beast of a kind,
Yeah, well, that makes sense. This can be, very, very complicated doing those big builds. I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of how you put yourself out there as an agency. Like, how do you share your expertise with the broader industry? How do you essentially kind of get the word out to your target clients that you're somebody who knows your stuff and that you're a good fit maybe for what they need? What sort of things do you do in that area?
Yeah, good question. Showing up in communities a lot is super important to me. So much that I have like a recurring task on my to-do list of show up to all these communities and offer value and leave comments and engage with the community and just try to help people. Because again, it's going to come back in some way to be known as the Shopify guy or, the CRO guy or, the drummer who likes sandwiches and also was a Shopify agency guy, like whatever, you start to build your brand within these little communities. So whether it's Slack groups or Facebook groups or whatever, also just going to events and potentially speaking, but if not speaking, I'll just go and nurture the relationships I have, like going back to the partnerships lens, it's super important. A lot of the partner managers at these companies are there, whether it's the happy hours or the coffees in the morning or the actual conferences, just going there and chit chatting and just kind of getting up to speed with everyone and, getting product updates too, to kind of bring back to our merchants. And then podcasts like this and, any way to kind of get my voice out there, but obviously in the most relevant space as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've heard from other founders, they've gone to conferences that maybe had a bunch of peers at them, but they didn't have a lot of their target market. And they kind of learned the hard way that it's like, oh, this wasn't actually a good fit. Or they went to one that had, they thought that, if it had 10,000 people at it, that would be the better move. But really,
Mm.
it's like the ones that had 250 at them, like actually were much more valuable for their agency.
Yeah, totally. I've gone in that same exact direction. There's huge conferences out there that you'll probably not get a lot out of, and I've been going to more of like the meetups, the happy hours. Sometimes I'll go to the events, the location of the event, and not even buy a ticket or a pass into the conference, and I'll just go to all the other things happening around that event because there's always, going back to the co-marketing side of things, there's always happy hours and dinners and sponsored events that are happening around the main conference,
Yeah,
especially if it's driving or train distance from me in Rhode Island where I'm at now. But it's worth it just to really make yourself out there and be known in the space. And a lot of it is partnerships related. Again, to your point, is like they may not be a lot of Shopify merchants at this conference, but building relationships and rapport with the partner managers that you're partners with, that also goes a long way. And eventually it may come back where they'll refer you a lead. I can actually think of one off the top of my head that I was at in Boston a couple months back and met our partner manager. We're hanging out, having drinks, eating food, just chit chat. And we were talking a little bit about our relationship and my agency and stuff. And then they referred a client to us a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was because of that, maybe it wasn't. But I'd like to contribute it to me getting top of mind that I mentioned that we do that type of service, and they
yeah,
referred a lead over a couple months, a couple weeks after that conversation. So again, you want to kind of just shoot your shot at any shot that you get until you start to find your traction in motion, and then double down on that basically.
yeah, absolutely. I think too, one thing I've noticed is that, especially like maybe post pandemic, where everything was just so online, that like being able to develop a relationship with someone in person
Hmm.
really makes them stay top of mind. Because you get to like meet somebody as a whole person, not just you know, only talking about business or that sort of thing. So I think
Yeah.
you're definitely onto something with whether it's a partner or a potential client. In-person stuff, I think, is really enjoying kind of a pretty big resurgence.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel like we've all been saying the same things, for the past couple years. I was gonna say since COVID a couple years ago, but it's definitely it's been more than a couple years ago since COVID. But
Yeah,
I think to your point, that's why people want to get out more. And there is power of meeting people in person and hanging out because as humans we need that type of connection.
yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of connection, if people want to kind of meet you, maybe hop on a call, either whether they're a potential partner or a potential client, or they just want to talk shop with you, what's the best way for those sorts of folks to connect with you?
Yeah, for sure. Perfectevolution.com is our site. You can fill out the contact form there. It goes right to my inbox. You can follow me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm sure we can put some show notes in there.
Yeah,
I also offer complimentary Shopify audits, very high level, but we offer website audits to any merchant that's listening that wants a second set of eyes on their site. We look at it under a few different categories, and it's really a good conversation starter to proactively come to the table with something versus just hopping on a call and figuring it out. So that offer is always on the table. If you're interested in that audit, definitely reach out in any of those channels there, and I'm more than happy to chat.
awesome. Well, Marcus, thanks so much for coming on the show. This was super fun, and I really appreciate the insights that you shared, specifically about partnerships, but really about kind of growing your agency as a whole. So, thanks again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.